Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to Royal Sussex Live. Welcome, one and all. Thank you all so much for being here. You could have been just about any place else in the world, and it's really not too late. You still got a chance to get out of here before I get all worked up and everything. But if you're going to stick around, that's cool too. So let me see who was here first. Mary H. Thank you so much for being here first. And thank you, as always, for watching Royal Sussex. Emerald Derrick, Joyce Anderson. Who else? Paulette Claw, Ingrid Sowers. You are a member, aren't you? Brenda Crane is a member. Thank you. Sonia Johnson. Hi, Helen Marmon. So Sonia Johnson is a member. Who else is a member here? Okay. It's got to be at least one more. Nope. I already said that. Esmeralda Dillon, thank you so much. And to all the rest of the members, hello. All right. There we go. Get rid of the royal family. If only, right? If only. Well, let's get this party started. Let's get this party started. Okay, there's another one of my custom made thumbnails. Not my best work, but it'll do. It'll do. Um, you know what? I have taken that watermark off the top there, and I don't miss it. I don't miss it. I think I'll leave it like that. M. Covington, thank you so much. Wow, this thing is slow tonight. Thank you so much for the super sticker, and thank you for being a member of Royal Sussex. So, you guys, let me see here. I'm gonna do some talking about the royal family, and I realized that not everybody is a fan of that, but some of you are, and so um, whatever it is you are here for, let me tell you one thing that is a constant. We are going to drag. We are going to point out the hypocrisies. And of course, at all times, we are going to defend our faves. So that is a constant. But as I've said so many times, and I have not kept this a secret, I am a bit of an Anglophile. And whilst I am intrigued by, history, and that includes the royal family, it doesn't mean that I would ever want to have to spend my tax dollars to support an institution like that. Also, I think in the modern world, there's not much use for it. Um, I'm not so interested in them as people, if you understand that. And I'm going to tell you why. I know in my heart that the institution is very interesting and the history is very interesting, but I don't have a strong feeling in my bones that the institution should survive further than Queen Elizabeth. I've always felt that after the Queen goes, that everything else would go. But the other day, matter of fact, she actually said the same thing on her TikTok, is that she's always been interested in history, but it doesn't mean that you are given blanket approval to everything to do with the royal family. Um, I do think that the institution is racist, and the idea that you have black people accepting the Order of the British Empire, which, by the way, the other day, uh, Facts and Two Cents, Petal did an amazing job, amazing as usual, discussing that very topic about how disappointing it is that Black people accept those trinkets from that institution. And by doing so, you are given a tacit approval of what the institution stands for, right? It's one thing to be intrigued by the history, it's another thing to help perpetuate their power. So I just thought I'd say that. I'm going to look for that, the one where Petal talks about that very subject. I thought it was amazing. She did a good job of it, and Petal was actually the first person that pointed that out. What a contradiction it is to um, be a Black person in the position of standing up for the rights of Blacks, reparations, and all those things. You want to speak of the history, and yet you would accept something like that. And hey, I get it. Lewis Hamilton, he accepted that trinket because his mother wanted to go to Windsor Castle. And that is a very powerful motivation. So I don't hate him for doing that. It was just, it's just, his mother grew up within that institute. Well, within that, you know, that was something that had always been, right? And I guess you could say she's intrigued by the royal family. Who knows how much she loves and supports them? But that's very powerful. You get a chance to go to the castle or the palace and accept that trinket. I don't know how many people would turn that down. I really don't. Especially if you get a chance to take your mom on something like that. How do you say no? I mean, you could, but I don't know how many people, Black or white, would be strong enough to do that. So I would say don't begrudge them for accepting those things. But anyway, so I'm putting that out there so you guys, the greater point that I was trying to make. Um, there is a lot of things that I have discussed and will continue to discuss because it's interesting to me. Doesn't mean that I like it or approve of it, but it's interesting. And therefore, we will talk about those things. And you always have the choice to stay or go. That is always your prerogative. So, anyway, let's get on with it. So, right here, insight from Global Girl Media UK. So, this is an update from Archwell, not Archewell, but Archwell. Archwell Foundation continues to spearhead insight sessions globally, actively engaging with both young individuals and parents to collect their perspectives on the impact of social media and the digital realm. Recently, we facilitated a session with the Global Girl Media UK, an NGO that empowers young women to become agents of change through producing and distributing their own digital stories, firmly believing in the importance of amplifying women's and youth's voices. Our session delved into the I'm sorry, how come I cannot say that word? Involving, no, evolving. Okay, that's it. Evolving. Wow, that looks weird. Landscape of information dissemination in the digital era. The young women shared unique insight into the benefits of widespread information access and proposed innovative solutions to combat bias and proliferation of misinformation. God knows we need that. In recurring themes was a dual nature of social media and democratizes information by showcasing diverse viewpoints while also exacerbating bias through algorithm content filtering. Participants reflected on their personal experiences with information consumption and the challenge of identifying trustworthy sources amidst the vast virtual landscape, emphasizing social media crucial role in shaping our collective information ecosystem. Oh, anybody else getting a headache? We're almost there, you guys. Transitioning all these big words. Transitioning to the state of information in 2024, the group discussed critical topics such as election, I'm sorry, irreliable, I'm sorry, not ear, what am I saying? Unreliable news source, deep fake. Oh boy, that's the scary one. And AI generated content. Got to look out for that. That is something we have been discussing a lot, even here on Royal Sussex. They explored strategies to overcome these challenges, including educating people on how to use critical thinking skills to combat misinformation and AI deception. Moreover, they highlighted the significance of empathy. Let me see, advocating for meaningful conversations within their network as a starting point. And finally, Global Girl Media UK amplifies the power of collective dialogue and shared action in navigating today's complex information landscape by fostering understanding, critical thinking, and creative solutions. The session underscored the significance of empowering young people to drive positive change and uphold trust and integrity in the digital age. So help me God. Wow, those were some big words. Those were some big words. If I could have been able to do that in the fifth grade, I may have graduated the eighth grade. Let me see here. Okay. Oh, I don't know what that is, but I'm going to pin that to the top of the chat. What is that? I never heard of that before. Let me take a look. Oh, I think I saw this, didn't I? I think so. Will Charles get the same crowds with Camilla as he did with Diana? Will they get the same crowds as Harry and Meghan did when they went down under? We will be watching. Huh, okay. I'm going to have to check that one out. Oh, it's about the Australia tour. Got it. Got it. Got it. Got it. Thank you so much for sharing that. Let me see. Okay. Just taking a peek at a few of those comments. All right. So let's move on. Oh, that's what I just shared. Now, I'm going to start early with one of my sound bites. Oh, you're going to love this. This one is kind of long, so we will break it up by discussing certain parts of it here and there. Over there, over there. Oh, the Yanks are coming, the Yanks are coming. Da, 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 da. And over there, over there. Okay, it's coming. Here we go.
Fanning the royal family, we're missing 3 due to ill health. They're recovering at the moment, so do we need to extend them?
Yeah, good morning, Storm. Good morning, Dawn and Owen. I completely agree with what Owen is saying. 1,000% I agree with Owen. We don't need a bigger royal family. We do not need them. And I think this is an ideal time that we can completely get rid of the royal family. We don't need it. like what Owen said, why can't we have ordinary people in the public do those sort of charity works? Why not?
Okay, that is a good question. Why do they need the royal family to play such a, shall we say, obvious role of cheerleader for these charities and such? It begs the question, how is it that people in these United States of America are able to raise funds to have these galas and all of these events for charities without members of the royal family there to be a part of it? Is much in the same as the fact that we do have the first family, and the first family, they are invited to a lot of things, right? But whether they show up or not, things get done. So, this idea that the royal family pay for themselves because of the charity work that they do, they're not exactly holding the Jerry Lewis telethon now, are they? They show up, they get a lot of credit, they unveil a plaque or a statue or something of that nature, and everybody makes a big fuss. And I get it. I get it. There is something about the continuity of having a member of the royal family show up. It just seems to make things that much more official. Well, one of the things that I was in awe about during the height of Oprah Winfrey's career is the fact that you had this woman of African descent that was being treated like she was Queen Elizabeth, and she was able to manage this empire that she built based based on the works of her talk show, and nothing highlighted that better than that trip to Australia where she drew bigger crowds than most visits from the royal family. I really dig that. I loved it. I love seeing one of us, so to speak, getting that type of respect from such a broad audience. I love that. And it just goes to show that you can have just as much authority, just as much gravitas, you can have just as much excitement without a member of the royal family.
Why does it have to be royal family?
Why does it have to be
No,
royal
I-
family, John? Hold on,
I do think they are a good advert for the country. I do think we do get a lot of tourists coming here. I mean, the Trooping of the Colour proved that a lot of people, the coronation the other year, was shown on TV around the world. So I do think they're a good advert for the country, and they do make the country money as well. I know before you say it, they cost money as well.
It's not about a good advert. I think that a lot of the time the comic fans can be so popular, if I'm honest. I mean, the amount of drama. I mean, every family has that. Every family has drama.
in the last decade, there has been a lot of bad press around the royal family, like on a global scale, particularly between Harry and Meghan leaving
Prince
and
Andrew.
Prince Andrew stepping
I think
down.
before that you had look. Let's be honest. The way King Charles behaved. Let's just be honest. The way he behaved towards Diana. I mean, we're not supposed to say that anymore, are we?
No.
I mean,
Say whatever.
well, there we go. I just think at the end of the day, these are, like anybody else, just random flawed humans who've been arbitrarily put as the symbols of our nation just because they happen to be more.
I do think
Actually, they're not gods. They're not like some special superhuman. They're just random human beings who were born because of their genes into this family. Why can't we have people who are actually there because they achieved something and they defied the odds? Often people who grew up in poverty and through their talents and their skills, they do something that we can be proud of as a country, rather than people who end up prominent even though they're accused, for example, of sexual misconduct. I mean, it's absurd. But not all of them.
So, which is just the point I was making about Oprah, who grew up in poverty, right? And who was so respected for her ability to build this production empire. Do you realize that there have been very few women who've owned their own production studio? Mary Pickford, years ago, Mary Pickford, back in the old days of Hollywood, she joined what was known as United Artists. which was actors who wanted to have more control over what they produced. So they came up with United Artists, and she had a stake in a production, movie studio, right? Production studio. And then Lucille Ball, she owned Desilu, which gave us Star Trek and a bunch of other stuff. And I do believe the Andy Griffith Show, now that I think about it. And so there's yet another woman. And then all those years, Oprah. I think there was only the three women who owned production studios that had such a big stake, that they used their name. And the fact that Oprah, just like I guess the other women, came from some very humble roots and managed to accomplish so much. I mean, would you be more excited to see? And I'm not just going to say Oprah because not everybody likes Oprah, but someone that you admire that has, come from the same background in some cases as you or I, and they achieved so much, and people are excited. And that was the way Oprah was living back in those days. I mean, she still gets that same type of excitement. But again, it's not Oprah the individual. For me, is Oprah, this black woman in the US, and especially being a black woman in the US, where black women are the least protected of all citizens in this country. I mean, they really have been disrespected by so many, even including within the black community, to have to, fight and claw your way to success, to get a certain level of recognition, only to still be mistreated by society. But I find that exciting. I always found that exciting. I'm just like, go, Oprah, you do that, girl. I was always excited about that. So, um, and like Owen said, that's the guy in the black shirt. That isn't it better to have someone who achieved based on meritocracy rather than the aristocracy?
Because it's part of British tradition and heritage and culture. And what is so wrong with that? We have them here. We have a small amount of them. I agree with Charles, downsizing the family. The likes of Andrew should never come back in a million years, obviously. But I think, while we've got them, make the most of them.
They are a soft power that we have, Sharon, are they not?
Hello?
Hello, Sharon. Hi, we're still chatting.
Okay, sorry, I didn't know that. No,
They're a soft power and it's tradition.
No, so can I just say this? I just think the royal family are a dysfunctional family, and I've got no respect for them. And I don't see why this dysfunctional family should be the head of our country. I'm sorry.
Because the rest of the globe quite likes them. They think that it's a
Well,
fun
not really.
part of
My
British
family comes from
culture.
America, so my family comes from America, and my family is quite disgusted with their behaviour, to be honest. So the lady before that says, oh yeah, people come out of countries are really, no, they're not really, to be honest. They're not.
I wonder whether over time, and because of our media coverage and social media and the fact that we know more about the royal family, they're losing that sort of magic and mystique that they used to have.
One thing I would say that has changed, certainly since the late Queen's time and the coverage then in the media and the way the newspapers dealt with, being in newspapers for a long time now, I think the coverage has changed. There is much less respect from the media in general, certainly from newspapers. And I think that affects people's view of them as well.
Because they've just become like celebrities. I mean, celebrity culture, isn't it?
That's exactly what. I mean, they are a very posh version of Kardashian.
Well, they're famous for being famous.
I suppose at the
There's a lot of
moment,
that about.
Yeah.
I didn't mean for this to be a debate as to whether we should have royals or not. But at the moment, we have royals, and the question is whether we need to expand them because
Yeah.
we've got a few of the key players that are not very well at the moment, and so they're sort of out of action for the most part. I wonder whether, Owen, you would object to not increasing any funds that they get, so they don't get to increase any of their money, and just say, look, you can support as many of your family as you like. It's your choice, but the more you support, the less money you all get individually.
Well,
Isn't that interesting? You can have as many members of your family as you like, but the more we support, the less money you get.
yeah, I don't know. I haven't really thought about that. I don't really understand the patrons of charity stuff, because surely other members of the royal family, they can be patrons of charities. What's stopping them? I don't understand. Is they're not banned, are they, for being? I mean, Harry and Meghan are patrons of loads of charities. So by working royal families, we must be talking about opening libraries, because otherwise Meghan and Harry do.
That's a charity work.
So what's the difference? What we're talking about?
I don't actually. It's an interesting point that you bring up. I think you get the title of a working royal, and therefore you have a royal who is a patron of your charity rather than just an individual.
But they don't really do. I mean, come on, it's quite well known. I mean, we're saying Princess Royal was a patron of field of charities. Come on, what's she doing? What's she doing realistically for each of those charities?
We're saying that the Princess Royale is the patron of 300 charities. Really, what does she do? What does she do? What does any of those so-called working royals do as a patron? They do allow the use of their name, and on occasion they will show up at a gala or some type of opening of a new facility or whatever. But aside from that, they're not actively out there raising funds. They're not doing that. Like I said, Jerry Lewis, they are not. And look at, I mean, Jerry Lewis was in his personal life, he was a mess. But look at the amount of money that he raised throughout his career with his telethons.
The future, aren't we? We think it is the future. But when Prince William comes to the throne, and I hope it's a long time off yet, but when he does, who's helping him? Who has he got to help him to manage all of these charities, all of these events that want a royal presence? And we're not just talking about this country, we're talking about the Commonwealth. And whoever it was that said people all over the world only know the King and Harry and Meghan, they know them all. And I can guarantee that. I'm a monarchist, I have monarchist friends around the world, and they do know them all. They know more than I do.
I think we've just come on to kind of the answer here. But obviously, Prince Andrew is publicly disgraced, and no charity would clearly want him anywhere near them. And I think this really underlines the whole point, because there were so many public figures, like athletes, famous sports players, musicians, who, as patrons of charities, would bring in far more money and support than many members of the royal families. And the difference is, can I just be brutally honest? The difference is they're there because they had some talent. They actually became famous, not just because they were randomly born into a family. Well, and that's what we're talking about. It's not a skill set. He's just born into a family. It's your genetics, rather than someone who, I don't know, grew up on a council estate, who becomes a famous football player and is there because of their talent. And why would you want them as a patron instead?
That's your view.
Thank you, Brother Owen. I just love Owen. Owen is so bright and so intelligent, and he just cuts through the nonsense and makes his point. So anyway, and of course, point well taken. What is the point of them? What difference does it make? I remember when Andrew one time, he was saying that it makes a difference when the royals are involved, because there's a lot of conversations that are had. And anyway, he was alluding to the idea that because someone whispers to the royal that something needs to be done about something. Let me remind people that, every member of the so-called working royal family at some point went to the hub kitchen. The Queen, William, Kate, Charles, possibly Camilla, all of them went to the same place, and only one person looked at a problem and said, you know what? Why don't you write a cookbook? Right? Why don't you write a cookbook? I'll write the heading, such and such and such and such, blah, blah, blah. And the book was a huge success. And they were able to keep the kitchen open much longer with greater resources. All of those people that went to the hub kitchen, and not a single one of them had a bright idea. And don't you know that angered and outraged that institution, the courtiers, and the family members that this American came in here with that strong work ethic that seems to get on some people's nerves, with that can do spirit, and changed the lives of so many people that lost so much because of the Grenfell fire. They didn't like that. You would, instead of celebrating and applauding, or at the very least staying out of the way, no, they sent their hounds after her and the ladies at the Hub Kitchen with those accusations of being associated with terror and such. That was the thanks. That could have been a model for so many charities across the realms, but instead they turned it into something seedy and dirty and potentially dangerous. Oh, I like that. Let me see here. I'm going to put that at the top of the chat. Just caught that out the corner of my eye. Pin message. That is the link for the official Royal Sussex membership. There you go. That is for the official Royal Sussex membership. So if you don't have a membership and you like to have one, please, it's only $4.99 a month. If more people had that membership, it just means that I could put more into the channel, right? It will lead to a greater success for Royal Sussex. So if you are inclined, that is the link to the Royal Sussex membership. Now, check this out. I know there's a lot of people who wouldn't want to be downwind. There's a lot of people who wouldn't want to be downwind from Camilla. And the Empress of Japan, I believe she's one of them, even in an open air landau, she decided it was wise to cover all of her mucous membranes with a face mask, thus ensuring that nothing, you know, shall we say, contagious would spew out of those old nicotine stained lips of Camilla's and end up causing illness to the Empress of Japan. So I'm on board with that because if you ask me, Charles and Camilla, they were like the typhoid Mary of the recent pandemic. I would feel very uncomfortable around them. I would probably want to cover, my face and probably wash my hands after greeting them just to make sure that I'm not carrying any pathogens or parasites or any bugs or the cooties or something like that. I just don't trust them. Um, hey, Church Nelly. How do? Thank you so much for being here. Yes, Lord, protect yourself. Being downwind from Camilla, at the very least, you might get a buzz. I mean, just could you imagine how much nicotine is still in her system? Could you imagine? Not to mention all of the smell of booze that has been oozing out of her pores for years. I'd prefer to wear a face mask. I'm just saying. And even entering the palace, I don't know when she got the courage to take it off, but eventually she did. And, you know, but for the most part, being somewhere in an open landau with the wind blowing toward you like that, see the air carries things like pollen, uh, um, saliva droplets, all of that stuff. So why take your chances? Yes, she might be the queen consort, but it doesn't mean that she's not potentially, contagious of something. So yeah, and if you've ever been to Japan, they are a very clean, hygienic society. So you have to do what you have to do. Hello. Now, why, girl? Why? Would you please not do that? Prince William and Sophie share a giggle over Duke of Gloucester's joke during Japanese state visit. Lord only knows what offensive thing that they've probably said. They probably said, "Oh, if Philip was here, he would probably make some reference to their ethnicity or their appearance." And and then, of course, Sophie took that as an opportunity to work on passing down that dukedom to their son, Viscount Severin. Oh, oh, Willie, you're hilarious. Oh, you're so funny. Oh, yes, that's the same thing Philip would have said. You sound just like your grandfather. Girl, if you don't stop, I don't know what in the who knows what on God's green earth makes her think that she's all that appealing with that little dumpy truck driver, lorry driver body of hers. What makes her think that she gonna sashay up to William wearing that look like the Avon lady dress? What makes her think that William is gonna find her attractive? Number one, I think she might have the wrong equipment. Number two, the equipment that she has, well, let's just say, hmm, I'll put it to you like this. I was looking at a video today because I'm such a car enthusiast, and they were talking about the old AMC Pacer. Do you remember that car, the AMC Pacer? It had that kind of bulbous shape to it. They it was kind of a wide vehicle. It was very roomy inside. It wasn't boxy, it was more like a bubble, right? It had lots of interesting angles. Not particularly attractive, but interesting. So let's just say Ford Fiesta could easily have at one point been an AMC Pacer. But whatever it is, it's not necessarily something you would associate with a Jaguar or let's say a BMW. You know what I'm saying? That's not a BMW. That's a Ford Fiesta, an AMC Pacer, a Gremlin. Remember the Gremlin? So yeah, nice try. Even a Saab is a little bit more interesting than that. So, Leg says, "Oh, let me see, lady. So horses are riding in the carriage." Thank you so much for that, Legs. Yes, very interesting phenomenon, isn't it? But yeah, that appears to be the order of things. Oh, William. Oh, William, is that a order of the garter in your pocket, or are you just glad to see me? Why is she doing that? Why humiliate yourself like that? I'm sure whatever the Duke of Gloucester said, it wasn't even that funny. And she's all dipping her knee and dropping one shoulder and sashaying over there in front of her husband, no less. In front of her husband. Exactly what do you suspect will come of this feeble attempt to get William's attention? Somebody needs to tell her,
"Hey, girl, sit down. Sit down." Sit down.
Somebody needs to tell her to sit down because she's making a fool of herself. She is truly making a fool of her. She's making a buffoon of herself. Stop. Quit while you're ahead because all of this, William, you make me forget myself. He ain't thinking about all that. You ain't got anything he want. So just calm down, right? Go back to whatever the name of that house is with your non-binary husband and have a good life because that title is not going to be passed down. You'll be lucky if you get any extra money. Laughing at stupid jokes is not going to win the day. Okay? Okay? Ooh, William, you're so witty. Okay, so hard for the money. As I live and breathe, it is Stephen Black. She thinks she's Mrs. Doubtfire. Dress and smile makes her desirable. That's it. It is a Mrs. Doubtfire dress. I thought I recognized the indiscriminate pattern. That's it. But it is Mrs. Doubtfire couture. That's exactly what it is. She is wearing the Mrs. Doubtfire couture, available in resale shops near you. Thank you so much, Stephen Black. And Raffaella Bertoni, thank you so much for the super sticker. And thank you so much for watching Royal Sussex. William, you're going to make me forget myself. Is that an OBE in your pocket, or are you just glad to see me? Look at her. Look at her. Shameless she is. And then she has the nerves to turn that ironing board that she calls a backside to the camera as if that's... One more time.
Sit down. Sit down. Sit down.
William. I like bald men. Look at my husband. Well, one thing they got in common, they both have motorcades that have pinned old ladies in their walkers up against a brick wall. Yeah. That's something they have in common. They both of them have motorcades that have maimed or wounded with them in a hurry to get nowhere. Well, you guys, the Emperor and Empress of Japan has dodged a Radio City Hall rocket. Fortunately for them, they didn't have to deal with the attention-seeking notions of the Princess of Wales, because the last time they had a state visit, she emerged from the state Bentley. I'm not even sure what she's wearing. Now, somebody told me there was something about that bow that is of some sentiment to people from Korea or something like that. I mean, whatever it is. Kay Middleton going back to her flashing roots, said one of the squatties. Now that's how you welcome world leaders. It was humiliating. And instead of the tabloid media calling her out, right? You know how they do Meghan. Instead of calling her out, they celebrated her toned legs, right? Now, the fact that when she stepped out, her skirt went up was of no consequence because they don't like to talk about that stuff. But I think it was absolutely disgusting. And I don't think the Queen would have approved. I really don't. This is not the way to conduct yourself when you're greeting a head of state. This is not burlesque. This is a state visit. And while it may be amusing to some people, I thought it was absolutely disgusting. I thought it was one of the most disgusting displays I have ever seen by a member of the royal family. And me being a royal expert for no other reason than I say so, um, I know what I'm talking about. It was rude and inconsiderate, and it didn't show a great deal of respect to the guests. Yeah, so that's my opinion. I want to show this to you. This is what I mean by disrespectful. On one of the few outings that the Queen and Kate were actually, doing things together. I mean, look at how the Queen is looking at that outfit. Now, I think that Kate is trying to do a bit of a curtsy, but there are some that's even worse, where Kate goes a step out of the state Bentley. And by the way, notice that the Queen is wearing a hat, but Kate is not. Remember when they made such a big deal because Meghan didn't wear a hat? Where's Kate's hat? Where's her hat? Elaine Parker, thank you so much for the super sticker. Woo! You're just so. No, anyway, I got to stop doing my imitation of the very anxious. What is she? The Duchess of Edinburgh, who's trying to pass that title down to her son. Yeah. So anyway, it was a pretty pathetic display, and I think that she should have been called out. And because it's Kate and not Meghan, they said absolutely nothing about it. But the Queen was not very pleased. The Queen probably felt that her hemline should have been at a very tasteful, length below the knee. That was something that Kate refused to do for a very long time. I thought it was disgusting. I really did. I thought it was very, very disgusting. I mean, you see there? One singular sensation with every little step. What is this, off Broadway? I mean, does that make sense? You step out the car, and of course, the the president or prime minister of Korea is there, and you emerge from the car. It to me, it looks like somebody just bought a pack of chicken wings. That's what it looks like. It looks like some raw, uncooked chicken wings. That fleshy display was poorly inappropriate. It was very inappropriate. And if it was Megan, they wouldn't have stopped talking about it. But because it was Kate, oh, how clever she is. And see, I don't know if you guys have caught on, but this cape is supposed to be um, Kate socking it to Megan, right? This cape is supposed to be her way of showing that she too can wear a cape. It's so childish the way they carry on. It really is. But this is supposed to be every time I look out the corner of my eye and I see Church Nelly has made a comment, I'm afraid to look. Off Broadway, by the way, of New Jersey Community Theater. You mean like those productions that they like to open out of state because they're afraid of what type of reception it shall receive? Like one of those productions that they'll send to New Haven, Connecticut, lest they should offend people on Broadway. Yeah, I get your point. An off Broadway of chicken legs. Yes, no, of raw chicken wings. The off Broadway of raw chicken wings. It's about a woman desperately seeking attention, not only from her husband, but from the entire global community. And so she chose to share as much flesh as possible during the visit of the delegation from South Korea. Yeah. Tacky, tacky. Tacky is as tacky does. So, anyway, unfortunately, Kate was not available for the state visit because she is still recovering from her mystery illness. It is said to be cancer, although they won't say what kind, even if it could possibly help tens of thousands of people. They won't share what type of cancer it is. They're going to keep that to themselves. Just like with Charles, they don't want people to know. They're not going to use their platforms to send a warning to people what they should look out for. Instead, they're just going to keep it to themselves. Strange, right? Strange. But there is a made for TV movie called A Middle Bum Tale. That same attention seeking ingenue actually in the screen adaptation. In the screen adaptation, a very lonely, desperately seeking attention, billionaire, aristocratic housewife manages to get her story told on the big screen. So it goes from stage to the silver screen, and not a moment too soon, right? Yes. As they say in the movie Star Wars, may the flesh be with you. Yeah. May the flesh be with you. Okay. Whose flesh is unclear, but may the flesh be with you. Okay. Let me see. YM Joy says, I think William asked about a pulled pork sandwich. And Sophie said, really? I got some pulled pork. And they all laughed because he's not touching that sandwich. Right. There you go. Thank you, YM Droid. That's right. Wacky and tacky. Absolutely. Wacky and tacky. I hope they talk about this in the Daily Mail. Wouldn't it be cool if they accuse me of being cruel to Kate? Because to do that, not only will they talk about how someone who supports the Sussexes have been so rude and crude, but they would inevitably have to talk about this, right? They'd have to talk about that and that and that. So I hope they do put it in the Daily Mail. I really do, because I'm certainly not taking nothing back, because it's true. I thought it was a vulgar display. And if the shoe was on the other foot, I'm sorry, if the stiletto was on the other foot, we'd never hear the end of it. So I feel totally justified in saying that I find it a rather vulgar display and disrespectful, not only to the late Queen, but also to the delegation from South Korea, President, Prime Minister, whomever, and the First Lady of South Korea. Tacky. Okay. moving on. So, Meredith Constance, very interesting. Now, on the left side there, what you won't see the media reporting relating that is to Princess Anne's incident. Well, within 24 hours, actually not even 24 hours, because not long after she made that video yesterday, it turns out that that wasn't the case at all. For us here in the U.S., in the wee hours of the morning, we saw something completely different. Sir Timothy Lawrence gives health update on his wife as he brings her treats in the hospital. My imagination is running wild. He brought her some treats in the hospital. What might that be? Kibbles and bits? I mean, my imagination is running wild. So I am going to play a little soundbite from Sister Meredith Constant, and I'll let you, we'll talk about it on the other side. We will talk about it on the other side. By the way, you guys, I'm kind of digging that professor guy. He makes so much sense. The one I told you I discovered, I'm kind of digging his podcast. Okay, here we go.
A broad interpretation of one's right to privacy to extend it to people
in public places. The British media did a thing. They published photos and video of Sir Timothy Lawrence coming and going from hospital where Princess Anne is being treated for injuries related to an incident involving horses. Never going to recover from this headline. Not just the tabloids. We have the Telegraph also publishing photos and new information. Why is this noteworthy? Because journalists were briefed that they should refrain from publishing photos of people coming and going from medical facilities to visit the princess. They tied it into this larger argument about media ethics and codes and Princess Anne's right to privacy. I'm not a lawyer, but this seems like a really broad interpretation of one's right to privacy to extend it to people in public places. But also, I feel like if you wanted to enter a hospital without being photographed, there are ways to do that. So why did the media do this knowing that there would be firm repercussions from the palace? I have a couple of theories. First theory is their strength in numbers. Perhaps the media realized that the palace really didn't have a case here and just went ahead and did it and everyone else did it, and what are you going to do? My second theory is that royal reporters were given the okay, specifically people in the Royal Rota. This piece is by the domestic Royal Rota captain. This piece is by Victoria Ward, who is the deputy royal editor and the Royal Rota representative for the Telegraph. Remember, Royal Rota is not a catch-all phrase for anyone who talks about the royals. It is specific people from hard copy circulating newspapers in the UK. There is very little wiggle room. There's maybe 10 or 12 people in total. Why might have
Royal Rota or Royal Rodent?
Buckingham Palace given the okay. Because this doesn't help the whole, well, we didn't see visitors for Catherine because the media was respecting her privacy. You're not setting a precedent for that. You're actually just creating more questions. You're creating questions for Kensington Palace, not Buckingham Palace. Remember, they work in silos. This is about making your principal look good. And right now for King Charles, his slimmed down monarchy is a little tenuous, okay? Princess Anne, forgive this figure of speech. She is a workhorse. It's been a rough year health-wise for senior working royals. By showing Sir Timothy Lawrence all smiles, bringing her some of her favorite treats, she's resting up well. That puts people at ease. It also gives the British media something to report on, because the other part of the problem is there's nothing to talk about. Nada. You can only get so many news cycles out of William taking Charlotte and George to a Taylor Swift concert. Unfortunately, these kind of health crises and mysteries, they do bring in clicks and they do bring in readers. And that is what the media needs right now, because royal family really isn't offering a lot. So maybe, and I'm only theorizing, the British media was like, guys, we need to talk about something. And maybe this was the bone that they threw. Okay, get some pictures of Sir Timothy. Maybe if Zara and Mike come, the Royal Rota in particular can run with that scoop and just give you something to talk about. I'm not suggesting foul play, but it does make it all the more stranger that we didn't have this kind of entrance and exit from Prince William when Catherine was in the hospital. I think it would have helped with some of the speculation. Granted, this is a different hospital, but we were told by the media that Prince William was visiting his wife, and presumably he found a private entrance in which to go through, or someone worked out a deal with the media so that they wouldn't publish photos, and they actually held to it. And we know from past events that William has had success doing that with the media. Whatever you think of the allegations involving the Marchioness of Cholmondeley, William's lawyers, Harbottle and Lewis, were able to send a letter to the media and get them to stop digging into the story, citing a human rights violation and a right to privacy. Someday, someone is going to write an incredible behind-the-scenes book about the beginning of Charles's reign and everything that happened. I can't wait to see the puzzle put together. What the hell happened with comms and the media? Like, what happened here? More to come.
Okay, so that was Meredith Constance. So as I said earlier yesterday, she said you won't see the media reporting relating to Princess Anne's incident. I'm sorry, what you won't see, and that is people visiting the hospital. Only for us to see today, Sir Timothy Lawrence and Zara the Tongue Ring Tyndall coming and going from the hospital. So if you recall, she just mentioned it, and I'm going to take a deep dive into this. So bear with me. So there's Camilla. Camilla was in and out of the hospital while Charles was in the hospital. And if you remember, they were making all of this noise about how William is going to be there for Kate, but we only saw William that one time. And so it was said in so many words, and I can't remember who said it, that the media was asked to back off and not to hang outside the hospital. But I'm going to say, I'm just going to go give it a wild guess. Camilla was back and forth to that hospital for the limited time that Charles was there, at least a couple times a day, and even had costume changes. And every time she emerged from the hospital, she had this big, stupid grin on her face. And the grin almost seems as though she was outing the fact that Kate may not have been in that hospital in the first place. It seemed like she was up to something. I can't say for sure that that's the case because I don't know. But it was rather bizarre that you got Camilla coming and going. You don't see Kate's mama. You don't see her daddy. You don't see her siblings. And for the most part, you didn't really see William. You saw him approach the hospital one day out of a, 14-day stay at the hospital? How strange is that? How strange is that? So right here, Princess Anne's husband, Sir Timothy Lawrence, has been filmed at the main entrance of her hospital. He was visiting at lunchtime today, carrying a cool bag for his wife. The king's sister has been in hospital since her concussion, thought to be from a horse kick. How come I cannot say that without laughing? Thought to be from a horse kick or headbutt. Yeah, a horse kick or a headbutt on Sunday evening. Let's see. And then over here, Muriel, who does a great job of finding a lot of things that you don't even know about. She said, a reminder that there are no pictures of any member of the royal family or Middleton family coming in and out the hospital. Oh, did she just say the hospital like real people do? Coming in and out of the hospital to visit abdominal surgery Kate. Let that sink in. Okay? Okay? So, Zara the Tongue Ring Tyndall visits her mother, Princess Anne, in hospital, where she's recovering from minor head injuries after husband Tim Lawrence dropped in with lunch. Okay? Now, these are the very endearing images that was absent from Kate's stay at the hospital. If you are trying to drum up all this sympathy, if you're trying to help her recover from being accused of being a racist in Omid Scobie's book Endgame, right? Remember, all for one, one for all. They had all of this media blitz that they were on. They rounded up every child and black person they could to take pictures in December to try to downplay this idea that they're racist, right? And considering that, you would think there would be images of the family coming and going from the hospital so we can all feel sad and bothered and I suppose the camaraderie of all of us suffering from the fear that we could lose Kate. You would think that they would have done that, but they did not. And as Meredith Constance said, the lack of that raised a lot of questions. It really did. So they told the press to give her some privacy, right? And yet Camilla, every time she came and went from the hospital, there was a whole bank of cameras taking pictures of her while she had that big stupid grin on her face. So who invaded the privacy of Kate's visit? Camilla and Charles, for that matter. Charles' stay at the same hospital is one of the reasons why there could be no privacy for Kate. But was Kate ever at the hospital? It's unclear. Because if she was there, where was the vigil? Where was the reporters? How come there was no scenes of her family, her birth family, coming or going from the hospital? But wait, there's more. There's more. Again, Zara. By the way, I kind of like that outfit. That's cute on her. There's Zara. And there's Timothy Lawrence. He has an ice pack, a cool bag, or whatever with lunch. Now, just between me and you, I think that might be the head of a horse that caused injury. maybe, just maybe, he wants to let her know that the horse has been dealt with. So I wouldn't be surprised if there was a horse head in that bag. Okay? He won't bother you no more. Yes, I have his head right here. I'll take it home and put it on a spike. But whatever was in the bag, they actually filmed him coming and going from the hospital. Very nice. It's what real people do. So, Princess Anne canceled engagements. The Commonwealth Agricultural Conference. You know what? It's worth a shot in the head just to miss that one. I wouldn't want to go to that. Boring. The Japanese State Banquet. The Warsash Sailing Club. God, is this what she does? The Royal Leamington Yacht Club. Oh, who's the yacht girl, huh? Commonwealth Agricultural Conference again. The Stratcairn Hospice. Commonwealth oh God. Okay, and Spinal Injury Association Charity Polo Day. And then, of course, Sunday until Monday, Canada visit, all of which has been canceled. All of it. Wait, there's more. So, Will's at Kate's bedside. Is he really at her bedside? Her bed at the hospital or her bed at home? Which is it? Because as far as I can tell, it doesn't seem like she was in the hospital at all. Okay? It does not seem as though she was in the hospital at all. Kate's in safe hands. Whose hands? Certainly not William's, because he didn't go to the hospital but that one time, and we never saw him walk in. and we never saw him walk out. It's like, oi, get those cameras ready. William's gonna drive through. He drove through and never to be seen again at the hospital, ever. He didn't even come to the hospital to pick her up. Do you realize that? There was no exit from the hospital involving William and Kate. If they didn't want to show her leave, they could have at least shown him walk in. That didn't happen, as though she wasn't there. And there's William in the first car in his electric Audi. And there in the rear, oh God, I can't believe I said that. But in the rear, okay, behind, no, in the second vehicle, okay, that sounds family friendly. In the second vehicle, there's what appears to be Christian Jones. Now, I'm not 100% certain that that's Christian Jones, but it certainly looks like him. Now, Christian Jones does not work for them anymore. But yet, it seems like when someone leaves Kensington Palace, that they actually become closer to the day-to-day operations of Kensington Palace. And I don't think Christian Jones is an exception. Remember, Christian Jones is the little hottie that Dan Wooten didn't know anything about, even though Christian Jones was photographed at a party, according to Byline, that Dan Wooten had thrown at a local hotel with his partner, which looks very suspect for somebody you claim you never met. It'd be different if you say you don't recall, but you say with all certainty, I don't know him. And also, in case you don't know it, Christian Jones is the reason why Harry lost his royal protection. Christian Jones was accused by Harry of leaking information about their leaving the royal family. And sooner than they were ready to tell the story themselves, suddenly it was leaked to Dan Wooten, right? And Dan Wooten gave them the ultimatum: you got 10 days to tell it yourself, or I'm going to tell it. Now, again, Christian Jones and his partner have been allegedly mentioned by the Byline investigation that they all seem to know each other, and that is the very probable source of that leak. And when Harry refused to drop it, one of the courtiers told Harry, you are going to pay dearly. And he meant what he said. And next thing you know, Harry lost his royal protection, and Harry lost his funding for that first year of their leaving or stepping back from royal duty. Now, what is it about Christian Jones that is so important and so appealing to Willie that he just won't give him up? You bring him to the hospital where your wife has just recovered from surgery. That's how important he is to you, if indeed that is him in that second vehicle, if that's him in the rear. I'm sorry. I mean, if that's him in the behind vehicle, if that's him behind you, he's so important to you that you bring him possibly, allegedly, to the hospital as a PR person, as a way to spin whatever may or may not be happening. It reeks of pulled pork sandwiches as far as I'm concerned. It reeks of pulled pork. It's enough to make you jump on a plane and make a surprise visit at a progressive cafe in Poland. Thus, the pulled pork sandwich legend is born. Don't ask, don't tell. Christian Jones lied about knowing Dan Wooten. King Charles the Cruel stripped Harry's security for calling out Jones Prince Williams is a bully, pretended Jones quit. But here's Jones riding Williams behind, no pun intended. I mean, riding behind William on Wednesday for the one and only possible visit to the hospital to see his wife who doesn't have cancer. Interesting, isn't it? I told you, we're going to do a little deep digging here. Now, Queen Camilla, Princess Royale, and the Duchess of Edinburgh will take over duties in light of King Charles and Princess of Wales' health issues. It's thought that the royal family will look to senior members to cover for King Charles and Princess of Wales in the coming weeks as both recover from surgery, which, as of the 17th of January, did not involve cancer. See there, January 17th. This is the day that they made those announcements about surgery. Now, aides say Monarch was angry as I'd ever seen her. Anyway, that's the whole thing about the, what do you call it? The naming of Lilibeth Diana. So that's what they wanted people to talk about on January. Let me see. Wait a minute. What is that date? Looks like January the 15th or something like that. Meanwhile, what nobody was talking about was this. I hope all is well at Sandringham. My spy in Marylebone just saw this convoy heading in the general direction of Edward VII's hospital at 8:30 this evening. No member of the press, no mention from the royal family. This has been all but ignored, save for just a few people who suddenly thought about that weird and mysterious convoy of 2 weeks ago and thought, that's interesting. Kate did not have emergency surgery. It was scheduled, they said, even though they were talking about going to Italy, but that was canceled because of Kate's non-emergency surgery. You see why people were questioning everything? Because none of this made sense. They were covering for something. Whatever it was, that's what they were doing. So here we go with the BS. Liz Jones, this feels personal. The news Kate is in hospital hits me like a young member of my family has been struck down. And then the worst, Rebecca, where is my Ozempic shot English? Rebecca English. Kate's rock rushes to her side. Rebecca English's deeply personal portrait of Prince William and why she knows he'll bend heaven and earth to support his wife. That's not exactly the way it panned out, was it? It doesn't even seem like he was there the day of the surgery. There was not one single image of him coming and going that day. And when he finally showed up, it looked like he brought his boyfriend with him. Now, of course, that is all alleged. I don't know what Christian Jones ends to him, but in a very euphemistic way, it looked like he brought his boyfriend with him and those few straggly hairs on top of his head blowing around. Very strange. Very, very strange. You got a driver and Kristen Jones, or whoever that was, allegedly. You got Willie and a royal protection officer. Seems like a lot, right? It seems like somebody brought their press secretary or press agent or all around, shall we say, aide to help shape a strategy around this surgery. I don't know. Now, I'll be there for Kate. Here's yet another one of those salacious headlines designed to invoke some type of, uh, uh, I suppose, warm feeling from the public that Kate is going to be protected by her lovesick husband, right? Wills cancels all engagements as Princess has surgery and Charles also set for operation. I still say that it makes absolutely no sense that Charles announces his non emergency surgery the same day that Kate's surgery is announced. That seems like too much to throw on the public all at once. The only way you would do that is if you're trying to hide something, if you're trying to conceal the true reason why one of them was in the hospital. And I say, since Kate's was mentioned first, I think Charles was the one used to hide this. An overgrown prostate for a man with overgrown hands and childbearing hips is not an emergency. And then, of course, nobody has cancer. They made a point to say this is not cancer, only for Charles to come back on the 5th of February and say, yep, that was cancer, but I won't tell you what. Only for Kate to come back on the 22nd of March to say, well, that was cancer, but I won't tell you what kind. And by the way, as I said before, the 5th of February is the same date that the Inquirer ran an article proclaiming Kate's cancer battle. They seem to know before Kate's doctors. The Middletons. Middletons lend a helping hand. Kate's parents and Pippa and James clear their diaries. If clear your diaries mean that you head off to an island to romp around with no behind, or if clear your diaries means that you make a special trip over to Richard Eaton's and drop off doggy treats, then I guess they did clear their calendars. So Kate's parents and Pippa and James clear their diaries to help William with looking after George, Charlotte, and Louis as Prince visits wife as she faces third night in hospital. Nighton. See how that is? That's a screenshot. What in the world is Nighton? They were so busy lying in this article that they made night in hospital one word. Faces third Nighton. Is that old English? She faces her third Nighton, her Nighton in hospital. Well, not even in hospital, but yeah, well, it is. And not anyway. They just made up a word, Nighton. Her third night in hospital. See what happened when you don't use the. If you don't say the hospital, then you connect night in and make a funny word that doesn't exist. But remember, they told people that Kate was in that hospital, and it was alleged that there was some type of media block where they could not, record people coming and going. But yet they're making a big thing out of the Princess Royale, Princess Anne's head injury. What's the difference? What is the difference unless Kate was never in the hospital in the first place? So Liz Jones says, this feels personal. The news Kate is in the hospital hit me like a young member of my family has been struck down. Wasn't the Princess of Wales like a brightly flickering candle at Christmas when she hosted her annual carol concert at Westminster Abbey? She's the person we would all love to have in our family at special get-togethers. Cheerful, unflappable, beautifully turned out, great with the little ones, willing to muck in, clear plates, and discard wrapping paper. Play the piano, I'm sure is what it continued to say. Do you see how much BS they were drumming up to make Kate sound like she was June effing Cleaver? They were trying to make her sound like she was a real person and not a Stepford wife. That Kate that Liz Jones beautifully painted in this article does not exist. That is not Kate Middleton. Kate Middleton is vain, arrogant, selfish, and a mean girl. Kate Mediocre Middleton is none of those things. She doesn't have any friends. She barely leaves the 15-mile radius around her Adelaide Cottage home. This is all BS. That person does not exist. Robert Jobson. Harry must be contemplating how it could have been so different. His family needs him, but he has gone AWOL and it raises some important what ifs. No, it doesn't. He's happy and away from that nonsense where people sit up and make these false stories that in no way resembles that family. This is just a bunch of lies. This is all lies. This is not that family. In safe hands, be in heaven and earth. Who is that person? It's not William, willing to muck in and clear plates. It's not Kate. The Prince and Princess of Wales, a statement from Kensington Palace. So, Her Royal Highness, the Princess of Wales, was admitted to hospital yesterday for planned abdominal surgery. The surgery was successful and is expected that she will remain in hospital for 10 to 14 days before returning home to continue her recovery. Based on the current medical advice, she is unlikely to return to public duties until after Easter. You mean after the elections, right? The Princess of Wales appreciates the interest in this statement. The interest this statement will generate. She hopes that the public will understand her desire to maintain as much normality for her children as possible, and her wish that her personal medical information remains private. Kensington Palace will therefore only provide updates on Her Royal Highness' progress when there is significant new information to share. Yeah, whatever. Okay, let us continue. Press have gathered at the London clinic where Princess of Wales is expected to stay for up to 2 weeks while she recovers from her surgery. So the press was there. There was just nothing to record. This is why I keep receipts. The press was there, but there was nothing to record because nobody showed up. There was not this big outcry of support. There was no vigil outside the hospital. There was nobody ever filmed dropping off flowers. And I'm going to tell you something else that was missing. If there were flowers, they always announced that the flowers were given to a pensioner's home or senior citizen's home. You didn't hear that announcement because there were no flowers. There may not have even been anybody to deliver them to. I smell a rat. I smell a rat. Let me see. Press have gathered. I'm just trying to see what day did I save that clip? What day did I save this clip? Let me see here. I'm checking. Okay. Oh, Lord, I can't find it. I cannot find it. Oh, maybe I don't have it saved there. So if this was from okay, I think I saved this 2 days after the hospital visit. But at any rate, it was that week. It was that week. And they said that the press was told not to hang out. But yet, this contradicts that. Kate will stay in hospital for up to 14 days after surgery. Meanwhile, the NHS, you have your surgery and you are sent home 1 to 2 days later with a SATS probe and a blood pressure cuff and a photo of what wound infection looks like and maybe one wound dressing. That is the difference between how the average person is treated by the NHS in comparison to Kate's successful surgery. We wish everyone good health, especially those on the waiting list for our underfunded NHS, which, of course, the Tories have been trying to bankrupt the NHS. They want people to get so frustrated that they go and seek private insurance. They want the NHS to fail. And I know this because there are many programs here in the US that the Republicans desperately want to fail. They wanted Obamacare to fail. So they could say, see, we told you so. It's better if you pay for your own medical care. It's better if working class families go bankrupt in the wealthiest country in the history of the world. Princess Kate hospitalized after planned abdominal surgery, Palace says. Dr. Scholler says, wish Catherine, the Princess of Wales, a full and speedy recovery from abdominal surgery. I hope all is well at Sandringham. Oh, that's dead. Okay, that is not related to Dr. Scholler. I think I was making a point. Now, this is another mystery from that night. The same day they announced that Kate had had surgery, or was it the next day? 3-inch scar on head. Kate has a 3-inch scar on left side of her head from when she was a child. It was first spotted in 2011 when the princess was conducting her first solo royal engagement at a black tie private dinner at Clarence House. It was confirmed to be the result of surgery carried out when she was a young child. An official statement explained that the scar related to a childhood operation, but said that details of the operation were a private matter. Royal sources confirmed that it had been a very serious operation, but declined to comment further. However, surgeons at the time said the scar is unlikely to be a result of a tumor and may have been caused by a birthmark being removed. The Daily Mail ran this article while Kate was in hospital. They ran this article for no reason. They just put it out there. Y'all know she got this big scar, don't you? Now, some people say that's not a scar, that's a wig clip. And maybe that is a wig clip, and the scar that's over the eye that you can't see there because this photo has been touched up, maybe that's the scar that they were talking about. I'm still not sure. Abdominal surgery. The princess had planned abdominal surgery and will spend up to 2 weeks in hospital. That's a repeat right there. Baroness Brooke, who is not a squatty, but gives a side eye to the royal family. And just like that, Kensington Palace has concealed their mystery military tour later this month. Isn't it curious how they leaked the myth trip to Jeremy Myers? Is it Jeremy Myers? Only 6 days ago, while today's medical procedure was a planned surgery. Did you get that? It was a planned surgery, but yet they leaked to Russell Myers. Oh, yeah, not Jeremy, Russell Myers. They leaked to Russell Myers that they were going on a trip to Italy because this was planned. It seems like you wouldn't make a plan like that. And at no point did they ever come out and say that what Russell Myers said was untrue, which they are apt to do when something as important as that is leaked. They did not say it was untrue. And as you can see, Russell Myers said the Prince and Princess of Wales will make their first tour of 2024 to a foreign country where British troops are stationed to say thank you on behalf of the nation. The visit next month will form a new focus on the military. So this, of course, was to compete with Harry. You know that. This was about showing Harry that not only is Willie a global, what is that he is? A global leader, a global whatever he is. Not only is he going to show Harry that he too is a global statesman, but he also has this strong connection to the military. It would have been interesting if they had made that trip, seeing that the Home Office or the government, if you will, do not seem particularly interested in William or Kate ever representing Britain abroad again. Now, okay, that's a repeat on the left. Prince William is set to juggle childcare and caring for Kate Middleton following her planned abdominal surgery. So they're reinforcing planned surgery. Again, notice the date. This came out the same day. Should we clap for him? The PR spin to desperately make Prince William look like a dedicated husband and father juggling childcare and caring when he has an army of people supporting him and zero financial concerns about canceling work to stay home is so tone deaf. Most Brits juggle, that is, childcare, caring for spouse, and can't afford to not work. Besides, women juggle this all the time, and we forget no coverage boosting us in the papers. No coverage boosting us in the papers. Richard Eden, of course, that kiss up. William and Kate show they mean business by hiring a CEO to run their household of 60 staff. Now, I threw that in there to remind people that they have 60 staff members. You know, I keep saying that, right? Because it's true. William and Kate, they have an army. If everybody in Britain had a staff of 60 people to support them through whatever medical emergency or non-emergency, how much better off will everybody be? Robert Collins, child baron and fellow squatties, jumped in from Rome on a live at 6:45, that's a.m., with morning cappuccino. Yay! Thank you so much for being here, Robert Collins. Yes, she is, and it is pathetic. How long before they start saying Harry needs to come back? That's what happened when Charles and William had that pandemic thing. How long will it take? It didn't take long at all. It was the next day. Online trolls attacking William for looking after his wife and children are spiteful. The Sussexes are like two limpets sucking nutrients out of the rusty hull of the royal yacht. So Kate is in hospital, possibly fighting for her life with this scheduled surgery. And instead of reassuring the nation, they're calling people trolls for calling them out for being tone deaf. And also, they had to throw something in there about the Sussexes. Okay, how much would you pay for health care fit for a king as Charles and Kate have medical treatment? All you need to know about private health insurance. This is something that the Tories want people to think about. They want people to pay for their own health care. And instead of saying, wow, foul, that people don't get the same treatment, they're offering an alternative to a lot of cash strapped subjects of King Charles III. Breaking news, support for the monarchy has collapsed even further. Again, support for the monarchy has collapsed even further. I just want you all to bear in mind that before all of this cancer stuff happened, before all of this non-emergency surgery stuff came up, a poll has today shown that support for the monarchy has now dropped to 45%. The monarchy no longer commands the support of the British people. It's time for a proper debate. Remember, I kept saying that before all of this happened, if you ever had the notion that anything and everything may possibly be contrived, made up, fake, false, fake news, consider this. Before these medical non-emergencies, they were underwater. They have not mentioned another poll since last year. Whereas before, they were trying to reinforce the idea that the Sussexes are so unpopular. They don't talk about polls no more. Have you noticed that? They don't want to talk about polls. It almost makes you think that some parts of this may have been orchestrated to draw attention away from the fact that they're underwater. Due in part to Omid Scobie's book. I still say that book did a lot of damage, a lot. Not that they were trending upward in the first place, because they hadn't been doing that for a long time. But I think that book really hit them in the fun parts. I really do. I think that book has done more damage than you can calculate. No wonder Omid Scobie had to leave the country. No wonder he left the country, because they were wounded, because so much of what he said was true. But I agree with him. He was trying to help them. His book was not to damage, it was a warning. Do better or risk becoming obsolete. Now, I saved that. Let me see. Okay, the Republic posted that breaking support for the monarchy. Let me see. What is the date here? Let me see what the date is. I saved it on January the 18th. January the 18th. So I'm assuming that poll that they're referring to came out around that time, if not that day. And so they were fighting for their lives to try to save the monarchy. Go figure. Interesting. And I know I got the actual date that poll was taken buried here somewhere, but the greater point is they were underwater before all of this talk of surgery. That is a certainty. They were underwater. Amanda Platel, Harry's silence over his father and sister-in-law shows he has never been more isolated. Prince Harry urged to step up and help brother Prince William in his hour of need. If Harry is smart, he'd jump on a plane. This is the moment he must grow up and be there for his family or face becoming irrelevant. Remember, they were saying that Harry was irrelevant, Harry is isolated. And also, they said, how long will it take before Harry shows up? They went back and forth about this for days, even though Harry showed up the next day when he heard that his father had cancer. But they went on for days about Harry stepping up, stepping in, coming forward. And then to make William look strong, they said, William pushes back any possibility of Harry helping out. I don't remember Harry making a public proclamation of any sort anyway. And then, of course, this always happens. Princess Beatrice asked to stand in for Kate as emergency meeting held amid royal crisis. That was January the 18th, and that never happened. That never happened. They had no intentions. I don't care how rough things get. They are never going to accept Beatrice and Eugenie as working members of that family. They never wanted them. Charles never wanted them. Now, we're going to move on to something else. This is the Royal Order of Charles III, which looks very similar to the Royal Order of Queen Elizabeth II. What's very different about these is that Charles III's cameo is actually painted on plastic, they say, whereas the Queen's cameo is on ivory. So, in order to seem very responsible, like they don't fly everywhere in a private jet, they want you to know that Charles' image is on plastic. They didn't have to do that. They could have actually reverse painted it on glass and just stuck it on a white background. But they want you to know that his image is on plastic. Why? I'm not sure. They could have even taken a photograph or whatever and just stuck it under a piece of glass like they do at the cemetery. But nope, they want you to think that that diamond brooch on a ribbon is somehow environmentally friendly because there's a renewable material that's being used. And the first time that they shared it was in a palace with 778 rooms, 84 bathrooms, etc., etc., etc. Kind of misses the target, doesn't it? It is beautiful, though. Now, the one Charles has, the diamonds, are loose diamonds that came from the royal collection, and it was all put together to make this. And the first person to wear this honor, of course, was the Queen cohort, the Queen consort. Camilla officially was the first to receive the honor of wearing it. Although, because Camilla wore it, you can barely see it because, well, I won't say because, but you can barely see it because, well, you know. Because there's something about Camilla that just takes your breath away, okay? Was that polite? There's something about Camilla that when you see her, you just go, you know what I mean? So it's kind of hard to see the brooch when you have someone as striking and breathtaking as Camilla wearing it. Camilla is an accessory of an extraordinary type that that somehow anyway, you know what I'm trying to say. Who would notice? Now, Royal Family Order of Elizabeth II is an honor which was bestowed on female members of the British royal family by Queen Elizabeth II. The order is worn by recipients on formal occasions, meaning a state dinner. So there you can see the Queen is wearing two, one for her father, George VI, and one for her grandfather, George V, famous for the, you know, royal paten, the one that makes Archie and Lily prince and princess, that George V. So there you have it. Also today, Charles gifted the Order of the Garter to the Emperor of Japan. And likewise, the Emperor of Japan issued the Order of the Chrysanthemum, which is the highest order that he could bestow upon anyone, and in this case, Charles III. So, in other words, they swapped today. Order of the Garter, Order of the Chrysanthemum. Oh, God. I can't remember whether this was a gift or stolen. Well, this is the hazard that one faces when you invite the Emperor of Japan to Buckingham Palace, and whilst visiting, you start sharing interesting pieces from Japan that you acquired over the years. In this case, this beautiful Japanese screen. One has to wonder, um, was it purchased? Was it gifted? Or was it stolen? Well, considering that's the British royal family, I'm just going to go out on the limb and say it's probably something that was stolen. By the way, I made this one myself. Deborah Anderson, thank you so much for the super sticker. And thank you for watching Royal Sussex. Now, I have another soundbite for you. This is not long as the last or the one before that, I think, but it is very interesting, and I will share it with you right now. At least I thought I was going to share it with you. You know what? I don't think I saved it. And I don't remember where I saw it. Here we go. You know, I was doing so good. I haven't had this problem happen in a while, but this is one of those instances where I don't know where it is. So maybe I have nothing to share. If not, we'll just move on. Where would I have? Oh, I know where I saw that. Never mind. I know where I saw it. Never mind. I got it. Nobody help me. I got it.
Princess Anne in hospital after the horse accident, so it's not entirely clear what happened here. But bless her. I mean, one of the points being made about this is that means that obviously Princess Catherine is not working at the moment for very good reasons. The King is also with cancer, and now Princess Anne she was knocked out. We were told it was minor. That was the key word yesterday. So just hoping she's going to be all right.
Oh. Yes, yeah, I mean, never raised but it pause at the minute for the royal family for the wrong reasons. And, you know, someone like Royal Princess Anne, who everybody loves because she's the hardest working royal, actually, I think, figures show that she's the one that goes out and does many more events than any of them. So another sort of blow for the royal family, but it does. I hope if she's going to be out for some time, you might think that there's some other junior royals, ones that we haven't heard about for some time or don't know enough about.
Drag them out.
To come out. Would you ring Harry and say, could you come back and play a midfield role?
I wouldn't ring Harry, no. I don't think he'd pick up if anybody did call him. But I think, it's a perfect opportunity for either Eugenie or the other one. And
there they go. Maybe Harry could step up, or this would be a perfect time for Beatrice and Eugenie. They have been saying Beatrice and Eugenie for a very long time. Again, there's no intention to bring them back. They keep throwing Harry in there. Harry has no intentions of coming back. They made their beds and they have to lie in it. Mostly Charles has made this bed for the institution. William is overwhelmed and feeling a bit let down that he has so much more work that he has to do and so much more responsibility, and he's not going to have his younger brother to kick around. Now, it's been 15 years since Michael Joseph Jackson passed away. And yeah, it's been 15 years. And I think, ironically, it's also George Michael's birthday. Also, 15 years ago, one of my favorite actors, Farrah Fawcett, died. But unfortunately, Farrah Fawcett didn't get much attention because of the overwhelming shock of Michael Jackson's death. Michael Jackson, there is the whole family in this very rare image, all gathered around. Um, there's Catherine, the matriarch, and the patriarch, Joe Jackson, with that unusual face that is so frightening that most members of the family has had some level of cosmetic surgery and intervention, and I don't blame them. If I thought I woke up one day and I looked like Joe Jackson, well, I don't want to say what I would do, but it wouldn't be pretty. They went from this little, what would you call it, a track house, a bungalow, a starter home in Gary, Indiana. And back in 1970, they purchased, what is it, Havenhurst? They literally purchased a castle. And this house has been in the Jackson family ever since. That house is still owned by the Jackson family. This is so inspiring, I think, for anybody who has this dream of making it big someday, of being able to do extraordinary things, that they have gone from that poor excuse of a home to this palatial manor house in California. Extraordinary. Look at the size of that tree. That tree alone lets you know um, how long this house has been there. The house has got to be 100 years old. Probably built back in the 20s for someone in the film industry. I remember growing up and seeing this house in Ebony and Jet magazine. And there's the Jacksons with their afros and everything. I mean, it was just incredible. And sadly, this is where 50-year-old Michael Jackson wound up in this beautiful sarcophagus at the, what is that cemetery? Wedgwood, Brentwood, Woodlawn, Wooddale, whatever it is. Beneath the stained glass, as though he's in some ancient cathedral, that is where he will spend eternity. So, very sad and unfortunate that things went that direction, but such is life. Such is life. A lot of it cannot be explained. And of course, there's a lot of people that have their opinions about Michael Jackson. But as I was telling someone earlier today, that Michael Jackson had been a victim of circumstance. I'll just say circumstance his entire life, and whatever good or bad that happened in his lifetime is definitely a reflection of the way he spent his youth, and of course the demands that were placed on him. And it's just a real sad cautionary tale. The child that grows up in the entertainment business. Not everybody survives it. Not everybody. Even Liz Taylor, who was a child actor, um, she had a long history of substance abuse and multiple marriages and such. So, a very privileged life, but also a cautionary tale. So, but I applaud the Jacksons from going from this to this. Not that that means everything in the world, but it's just symbolic of what's possible when you put your mind to it. And as for Joe Jackson, I stand by what I said. If I ever thought I'd wake up one day and look like that, I'm not sure what I would do. That guy had some very strong genes, didn't he? He was a very handsome man when he was younger, but he became quite grotesque in his old age, I must say. Um, very grotesque. I don't have words to describe. I'm trying to see if I have that photo. Now, if you're going to bed, I do apologize in advance, but I don't think you'll believe me until you see it. So I'm looking for it right now. That one particular photo that haunts your dreams. Do I have it or do I not? By the way, you guys, I'm just about done. So if it is your bedtime, go for it. If you're starting your day, I wish you the best, a very productive day. But in the meantime, I'm going to see if I can find that image of Joseph Jackson, Joe Jackson. That frightful photo. He's wearing that hat. So scary. I see Joseph Jackson. Lord, I don't think I have it. I know I have that. Ah, there he is. Now, you guys, you have every possibility of looking the other way. If I was you, if you have a weak constitution, don't look at this photo. Scary. Could you imagine a knock at the door and you open it up and there's Mr. Potato Head staring at you? Huh? I think I'd crap my pants. I would. I would be so afraid. I would totally I'd be like, "What's the matter? What's the matter?" In that scared, shaky voice. I wouldn't know what else to say. Imagine sliding your face sideways and looking through a peephole, and Joe Jackson is on the other side of it. Yes, and that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. You cannot blame Michael Jackson for wanting to alter his appearance because, see, that Joe Jackson was slowly creeping up, right? Joe Jackson was coming out. Janet, Michael. It kind of got Jermaine. Jermaine decided to let live and let Joe Jackson, but Michael and Latoya and Janet, they was having none of that. They were like, "Nope, not today, Satan. I'm going to get some plastic surgery. I don't know what y'all doing." But he was a very attractive man when he was younger. But ooh, if this what Hollywood does to a person, I'd stay in Gary, Indiana. Well, no, I wouldn't stay there. But if this what Hollywood is capable of, run, run, run for us. Yep, I submit to you evidence A, Joe Jackson. The creepy and the kooky, they're all together spooky. They really are a scream when people come to see them. Well, I warned you all. I warned you. Beware. Anyway, let me take that off the screen before it etches into the plasma or whatever. That is something else. Woo! Woo, Lord. Anyway, our word for today is create. Be more creative. Find something you like and do it. Do it. Now, Royal Sussex has been my creative outlet. I have really enjoyed bringing these videos and lives to you every day. I never get tired of it. It's always fun. It gives me a chance to be creative. And when I'm looking up stuff to share with you, I'm learning as well. And I really do enjoy that. So I guess I should say thank you not only for supporting Royal Sussex, but also for giving me an excuse, a reason to learn, to produce, to share, to create. I'm really enjoying it. And if you're interested in starting the channel, I wish I had time to help you, but I don't. Um, I was hoping that someone would help me, and that help never came. So I had to do it the hard way. But I'm glad I did because that's what builds character. I had to spend a lot of time, a lot of trial and error, and I found a lot of good information here, there, and everywhere. And one of the people that really put me on the right path was, oh gosh, what name does she use on here? Um, Liberia Rose. Yeah, that's the name I think she uses. She helped me out a whole lot in the beginning. And for that, I'll be very grateful. Also, there were others, but that was one of the main sources right there. But basically, I had to do a lot of things myself. But even though it's a lot of work, it's very hard. The reward is incredible because when you know, and you cannot unlearn it. And you'll have so much fun getting there. So, almost 60,000 subscribers later, it never gets old. And I really enjoy what I'm doing. And I thank you all for trusting me to do this work. That is very important. Nothing else matters. But having the trust from you all makes it easy. I don't even think of it as work. 59,727 subscribers. Also, in the past 28 days, 991,000 views, 269,800 watch hours, 1,600 new subscribers. Life is good. And over the history of this channel, 37.6 million views. 37 million 0.6 views. 8.1 million watch hours. 8.1 million watch hours. That's how many hours combined of everybody that has watched Royal Sussex. Whether you watch for a minute, an hour, 2 hours, it all adds up to over 8 million watch hours. Amazing. So, again, thank you very much. Now, with that, I am going to bid you all a good night. Thank you to the Mod Squad, past and present, Church Nellie, Lydia Washington, Cookies and Cream, Adrian Burrow, Anastasia, Black Queen, Lucy Wynn, Elaine Parker, and VS Speaks Royally, who has her own channel. Thank you all so much for the help identifying those trolls and such. Very important. Keeps this safe space safe. And also to the mothers, to our queens that made these Sussexes possible. I'd love to mention the dads, but so far they're not on my right side right now. So thank you, Sussex and more. I really appreciate that. Thank you so much. Thank you, praying auntie. Connie Balmer from Barcelona. You're in Barcelona, home of the Sagrada Familia, Barcelona. I love Barcelona. It is the New York of Spain. So beautiful. Wow. I love Barcelona. The people were so friendly. It is an awesome place to go. If you have not been to Spain, make plans. It is perfect. It is perfect. I love Spain. I went to Madrid, Toledo, Barcelona, Madrid, Zaragoza, the Valley of the Fallen, and enjoyed even the what's that place, the where the kings are buried. Even that place where all the royals are buried. I can't remember the name of it, but yeah, extraordinary. Loved it. So much history, so much culture, beautiful people, delicious food. Yeah. Oh, I'm so jealous, Connie Balmer. Anyway, thank you for saying hi. All right, so with that, you all, I am going to say goodnight, and we're going to end with Once Upon a Time. And as usual, um, where is it? There we go. I love each and every one of you. Thank you again for your contributions, even if it was just a like or a share, a coffee grinder, stainless steel coffee grinder. Um, if you have just, what else? A thumbs up, all of those things. Every bit is part of the whole. So, again, thank you very much. Good night, Sharon Skinner. Oh, and good night, Jerry White, who I spoke to today. Jerry White is doing really well. Your prayers have been heard. Okay. So, once upon a time? Yes, once upon a time. Here goes. Good night, you all. Or good morning. I can't stand the rain on my window. It just won't stop raining. I can't stand the rain. But rainy days and Mondays always gets me down. What I got, they used to cure with booze. I mean, they used to call it blues, not cure with booze. They called it the blues. Well, that was a Freudian slip. Since when has blues and booze been one and the same? And since when has booze been a cure? So that was a Freudian slip. All right. Good night.